Oil and gas projects have several unique features, one of them being the high risk involved throughout the supply chain, i.e. from exploration to appraisal to development to production all the way to abandonment. But the exploration phase is perhaps the riskiest, as investors simply don't know whether they will strike any oil or gas, or whether if they find oil or gas, whether it's going to be in a commercial quantity to be produced. Additionally, exploration is very capital intensive. So from an investor's perspective, the commitment is substantial at the exploration stage. And in Lebanon in particular, and this is what we're talking about now, exploration, where no discoveries have been made to date, this risk is particularly high. Other risks are commercial, and here I'm talking more about oil and gas prices in particular. We've seen more and more reports about the share evolution, first for gas, then for oil, and how it transformed, for example, the North American energy scene. And we saw how spot gas prices collapsed in the USA. And now people are talking about tight oil production from the US, and which can lead to putting downward pressure on oil price, everything else being equal. And as I said earlier, Lebanon's potential is likely to be more gas than oil. While these two fuels share several similarities, they are actually quite different when it comes to their economics and therefore profitability. Mainly because gas is more requires more capital investment than oil. For example, you need to find really sizable reserves in deep water in order to justify building a liquefied natural gas terminal and other pipeline. In addition to all that, investors have to face the legal and fiscal risk. The Lebanese law, for instance, which was passed in 2010, leaves many questions, especially those related to the economics of projects, unanswered. Now, we've been told that this information will be provided in individual contracts and regulations, but here also one wonders whether this will give investors the same robustness and confidence from a legal perspective. And here one has to think more about the long term. What if, for example, one day the Lebanese authorities feel that they are not getting a fair share of the oil and gas proceeds, and they decide to change the terms? They can easily do that. Finally, we cannot ignore, of course, the political risk. Lebanon is a post-conflict country with deep divisions between various political parties. Also, Lebanon has an interesting neighborhood. So we have Syria and Israel, to further extent, Iran and Egypt. And clearly, not love or deep friendship bring these countries together. So also developments in regional politics will have an impact on investors' confidence. Now, in terms of opportunities, once again, we have many ifs that we have to consider. First of all, if sizable reserves are going to be discovered, if oil and gas prices are going to remain high, if the legislative and fiscal framework is going to remain robust and fair, and if regional and domestic political stability is restored, then of course investors will benefit a lot. However, this is not like a la carte menu to choose from. These various conditions need to be met in order to create a very attractive environment for investors, which in turn will be beneficial for the government. And here I'd like to take an example, that of Iraq. Iraq has massive oil resources, and exploration risk is relatively lower compared to other regions or provinces. And yet many companies hesitated to invest in Iraq, while some of those who already signed contract with the government in Baghdad are already pulling out because the risks are too high.